My name is Howard Leder, and welcome to Our Ventura TV. Today, my guest is Taylor Kasch, a proprietor of a new theater here in Ventura, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Welcome aboard, Taylor.
Thanks a lot, Howard.
My first question is, I'm going to throw you a hardball. We're going to talk about the arts today, specifically theater arts.
Good.
And I'd like to know what your thoughts are on what makes good theater.
Oh boy, my thoughts on what make good theater. And it's all very personal, obviously, but for me, good theater is a great story told well, you know, where you can't wait for it to start and you hate for it to end. That to me makes good theater. Now what comprises that, right? And it has to be the actors don't get in the way of the story, they don't get in the way of each other, and they don't get in the way of themselves. The direction is well and seamless, and you've been to those shows where it starts, an hour and a half later you go, where did all the time go? And you're sort of disappointed it's over. You could take another hour. You and I just both saw a show like that.
Yeah,
The
Sunset Limited.
At the Rubicon, yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
That, to me, makes good theater.
Now, the difference between comedy and drama, I mean, we have all kinds of theater. We have comedy, drama, musicals. Is it easier to direct a dramatic piece or a comedy piece?
I don't think either one is any more difficult than the other. They're always a challenge. Comedy, again, there's traps in both plays, right? And again, if you play, quote, and this sounds a little banal, but if you play the drama, you've killed the show. If you play the comedy, you've killed the show. The story still has to tell itself, and you allow the actors to get there. So sometimes when if the work is a little more complex, psychological, takes a little bit more time and effort to communicate that, you know, to actors and actors to, you know, to understand and all be on the same page with that. But that can be the same thing with comedy.
Yeah.
You can, you know, everybody has ideas about something. That's the thing you want to avoid the most, is grabbing onto an idea and never be willing to let it go, because those ideas will oftentimes kill you.
What is it about actors that do live theater? What do you think is the reasoning behind it? As you and I both know, being on the stage, you know, the nerves get to you. Some people have more severe stage fright than others. And many times I've said to myself, as I'm sure you have, why am I doing this? And as you know, community theater doesn't pay. Professional theater does, but a lot of us are involved in community theater because we love it. So I ask you, why do we do it? Why do actors get up there and torture themselves?
Oh boy, God. Again, I think it's also personal. For me, it always goes back to the story. I think we're natural born storytellers, and we get some of the greatest storytellers in the world writing these plays, psychologists, writers all along, and it's wonderful to be working with that material and wanting to be storytellers. And I think that alone eliminates a lot of the fear, eliminates a lot of the fear of failing, and we're also not afraid to fail. And that takes courage. You know, a certain chemistry that people have, that they're willing to get up there and fail boldly. It's masochistic, I'm sure, you know, in a lot of ways, but...
Well, I've been told that the only way you're going to learn is to fail.
That's it.
Because if you don't fail, you don't know.
Right. And once you think you've got it, you're sunk.
Yeah.
Because it is an ongoing process, any art form, whether you're a writer, a painter, an actor, it is an ongoing process. And if you're, you know, you have the masters. You know, Picasso was painting up until his final day. You know, Gerhard Richter, when he's in his mid-80s, just sold a painting for $35 million. He's still painting. And he's still, to me, the greatest, you know, living, because he has mastered his form. That's what we're all trying to do as actors.
You know, I'm currently involved in a show, and I was talking to one of the actresses whose daughter happens to play one of the children. And this is the first time that she's been on stage, and she has maybe 2 or 3 lines. And she said to me, I hate this. Obviously, she's doing it to support her daughter.
Right.
I says, you know, I hated it too the first time. And I explained to her that I thought it was pretty much like a drug. Would you agree with that statement?
Well, there's a certain rush, right, that happens when you get, and there's this, and it feels really good, and then there's that letdown, and we all know how it feels at the end of a show or the end of a run. You know, like there's this huge sort of letdown, the separation anxiety from the people you bonded with in a cast, or bonded with the show, bonded with the role that you're playing. But there is that rush that we get, without a doubt, and it never changes. And the one thing about theater is it's different every night. Every performance is different. It's never, if you're ever trying to recreate a moment that you just created, you know, the night before, again, you're sunk. You've killed the process, right?
Yeah, and I agree. And a good experience to that is that you do a show and you say a line which you know is funny, and you'll get a lot of laughter, sometimes even applause on a particular line. You do it exactly the same way the following night, and nothing. You think you've lost.
And every audience is its own personality as well. I
Right.
mean, they respond to certain, you know, things that other audiences don't. That's, again, it's that bonding between audience and actors that make live theater unlike any other experience. You know that.
Now, we have, at last count, and I don't know that this is the exact number, probably 9 or 10 theaters in Ventura County.
Mm-hmm.
From the Rubicon to Cabrillo, both equity houses, to many non-professional, I don't like to say community theater. That word, community theater, to me, just like going to the dentist. So I do like to say non-professional in that they don't get paid, and it is all volunteers. And you recently opened up number 11 or number 12, and I don't know
Why?
Yeah, tell us why. Why do you think there's room for another theater in Ventura?
Well, it's for a whole. I mean, it took me 2.5 years to find a venue to begin with. You know, the city is very supportive of the arts, and there's certain zoning that they have designated to be what it is. But it did take 2.5 years to find one. In the meantime, I direct and I act, and I did a movie last year, but I teach classes. And it started with half a dozen people. It's now grown to 24. And I teach 2 nights a week, and I'm beginning a teenage class as well. Some of those actors that are in those classes are professional. You know, they have Emmy Award-winning writers, Emmy Award-winning director, actors that have worked all over the country. We needed a place because we're all working in the same language now, and it's taken some time. I have this dream of having this ensemble of actors that are all working within the same language. I think that all bets are off when you have a company that is together, that are committed to doing the work. Obviously, everybody has another means of making money, so that we can do whatever we want.
Right.
And companies grow quickly, and there's many paradigms for that. There's examples throughout the 20th century of theater companies that began as an ensemble, began to work together, develop their own techniques for how they do things and the execution. And it takes time, it doesn't happen overnight, but we have grown quickly. And there's probably a dozen actors in there that are, it's like a band, it's like a rock band, right? That, you play so much together that all of a sudden you can, you're just there, and you trust, and the trust level, as opposed to going to another company and you audition or whatever it is, and you get to know each other. Everybody has a different style, and nothing good or bad about that, but it doesn't have that same mesh as when you're in a company of people that know exactly what's happening, what's going on, and you bypass a lot of the early problems that you have when you cast a show.
Now, when we talked the last time, I understand that you have become a nonprofit, and you had talked about offering classes because, let's be honest, not everybody can afford acting lessons.
Right.
And yet there are a lot of people out there that would like to at least attempt to take a lesson, let alone get on stage.
Right.
Has that been successful for you? Have you been
Well,
able
we just got the nonprofit. I offer scholarships in my class. I have a handful of students that can't afford to pay in. They get scholarships. They help in other ways. And because I mean, I went to ACT Youth Conservatory up in San Francisco when I was on scholarship. I couldn't have been afford to pay, but you know, we had to do things, you know, for the big stage. And
Sure.
I had no problem with that. You know, I just loved being around the theater. So, and we have that, and we have artists. We have very accomplished artists in there. They don't help with the set. There will be, you know, scene design and all those things. So yeah, but the real nonprofit, well, the class anyway, or the community in which our theater is in Montalvo, which is going through a sort of redevelopment. The city is really anxious to bring things into this community. And I'm going to be offering free classes to all the teenagers there. I have a group of I'm down there every day at the theater, and I have this group of teenagers that come by every single day. And they go, when are you opening? When are you opening? Now we're open, and now I'm going to begin after the first year to offer these classes to the
And I understand your opening was a success. You want to tell us
beyond
briefly?
any expectation. We opened. We originally thought we were going to be opening in August. We took over the lease on June 1st, and I thought, oh yeah, take a couple of months to do this. Gut it, paint it. We're ready to go. It ended up not happening until almost mid-October. So we had this ongoing sort of rehearsal process as we were building the theater, which has been it's a beautiful old theater, by the way. And so we had done this play, Seal for Freshness, that no one's ever heard of. It's a 1968 Tupperware party. I thought it was a good way to bring people down to the area and introduce the theater to them.
I mean, who hasn't heard of Tupperware?
Yeah, who hasn't heard of that, you know? And by a playwright that nobody's ever heard of a play, and we sold out almost every show. And
what do you attribute that to?
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
I think it was a very, very good production,
Right.
number one. And they're all people from the company, so there's just this thing, you know, it's this unspoken language that's going on. You can't ask for more.
Listen, we're almost out of time, so I wanted to ask a couple of questions, and hopefully we'll get a brief answer. If people wanted to volunteer to work at your theater, whether it's the box office or concessions or help paint sets, and not only your theater, but other theaters, how do they go about that?
Contact the theater. Now, in our case, there's always room for volunteers. I mean, we had a slew of volunteers for the building of the theater, from the electrician to the contractor to all aspects of it, the lights. Universal Studios donated a number of things, which is wonderful. For me personally, flyinghgroup.com is our website, and flyinghgroup@yahoo.com is an email that they can contact, or they can call me. They go on the website, they can call me directly. My phone number's on there.
And that's www.flyinghgroup.com. That's the best way to get a hold of you.
That's the best way, or email flyinghgroup@yahoo.com. I will always return phone calls, and we'd love to have people come and volunteer. I'd love to get involved.
Well, unfortunately, the time went much too fast.
No
I wish we
kidding.
could spend another half hour.
I didn't get to say, you know.
Anyway, my name is Howard Leder. On behalf of Our Ventura TV, I thank you.